Adobe Illustrator Classroom in a Book, the 2014 release. We're on Chapter 9, which is Blending Colors and Shapes. I think you're going to like this one. If you want to go back in and reset your default preferences, you can go ahead and do that. If not, go on, make sure you've got your files downloaded, and go to File, Open, and you're going to open up Chapter L9, Start. I'm not opening up the end file. You can open your own and take a look at what you're going to be building to. This is what we are starting with, and please go ahead and save as. And remember, this is sailing. And please make sure you add your initials again so that I know whose is whose. Okay, I think you'll find this is going to be kind of fun. We're going to be working with the gradients. We're going to be working with filling with different colors. We're going to blend, and I think you're going to enjoy this one. Go ahead and reset your essentials so that everything is back to what the default is on that. So we have all the same folders and files, and everything looks familiar, and everything is going to match the places in the book. Now, we're going to be working first with a gradient fill, which is blending two or more colors, and there's a starting point and an ending point, and you can create different kinds of gradient fills, both linear and radial. In the linear, the color starts from one end and blends along a line from one color to another color to another, and has an ending point. And on a radial, the color radiates outward from a center point. So you can use the gradients provided with Illustrator, or you can create your own gradients and save them as swatches, and you can use them anytime you want. Now, we're going to use the gradient panel. So you can open that up here, or you can use it from Window and open up gradients. It's going to bring it up in the same place, same way. You are also going to be using the gradient tool, which is going to be over on this side, which is the gradient tool right here. You use these in concert with each other. They work together. So it's not one or the other. You're going to use them both. Now, if we look at the gradient right now, and I don't have anything selected, so I'm not going to worry too much about this. You have the leftmost gradient, which is the colors, which is a color stop, and a gradient color stop is the point where a gradient changes from one color to another. So I have on this one, my gradient is white to black, and I will have a blending point which is going to be a 50% of white and 50% of black. So whichever color is on the stop, the midway point is going to be indicated with this little diamond shape. Now you can drag that and change how your gradient works. So this is still a 50% point. It is going to be 50% white and 50% black, but I can put it at any point across my slider. And here you've got some handy little drop down things that you can use. So if you definitely need it, 50% of one color and 50% of the other, and you want it halfway between, you can put that location in there. We also can control the angle of a gradient. So it, something can be not perfectly go straight across, but it can angle on the object that you're working with. And then remember, there's going to be a whole bunch of other controls that we're going to have that we can access through the gradient tool over here. Okay, now you can add more stops. All you need to do to add a stop is click. You can color that stop. That's the drop down for that, but you can actually color a stop. Let's see, let me pick up this other one. Simply by double clicking, you can bring up your sliders. You can also bring up your color picker, and you can come up with whatever you want. But again, notice this is going to be, this slider is 50% between those two stops. This slider is going to be, it's not going to let, yeah, it is picking it up. It is also 50%. This slider is 50%. If I want to change it, I can change the positioning of it. I can change the positioning of this one. And I can move them. You didn't see it move much, but trust me, it does. You can see they move, they slide around. So you have control over where you want those colors, how much of those colors you want. You can position and you can slide and make the changes. You have that ability both here in the gradient panel and using the gradient tool. Now, with the simplest two-color linear gradient, and by the way, I'm going to pull these back off, and that's as easy as it is to delete a slider. You just click and drag it off. The starting color blends into the ending color. The starting color is the one on the left. The ending color is the one on the right. We're going to start by making a gradient fill for the background shape. So first we're going to start by using your selection tool and clicking on that big yellow rectangle. The background is filled with a yellow fill color. It doesn't have a stroke. That red stroke that's around there is put in as a separate piece. And you can see that there's no stroke on there. We're going to change the fill color to this white black that comes up as the default. So all we need to do with that, and you can actually pull it out of your swatches panel, white black, or it should come up as the default in your gradient panel. And either way, as long as you make sure that the fill is to the front so that it is active, and click and fill it. Now, again, you make sure that that fill box is selected. Double click the white slider on the left hand side, and you're going to change to the swatches panel. If this comes up with the color picker, change to your swatches, and you're going to select a light gray that's called Sky 1. So we'll just kind of have to go through here and look for a blue-gray window one, shirt top. And I haven't gone looking for this yet. So bear with me. Bear with me here. I closed it by mistake. Okay, this is really light gray. It looks like it is white. So I'm going to put that in, and that has changed this to a very, very light gray. Now, you can click in a blank area of the gradient palette panel to close that. And now we're going to change the black to, let's see, what are we looking for? We're looking for the color panel. Oh, this time they want us to use the color buttons. So we're going to do that. Take the drop down, change to CMYK, and we are going to look for, or actually put in a 40% or thereabouts. You don't have to match your numbers exactly. Put in a little bit of magenta, because to get a nice blue, you need to add magenta, a little bit of yellow, and we should end up with something that's a bit of a blue in there. And but make sure you take your black all the way down to 0. And this is the color we're more or less looking for. Feel free to experiment, and if you want to go a little darker, feel free to do that. The color choices are yours to make. You don't have to follow everything exactly specifically as it says in the book when you're picking the colors that you wish to use. Now, we're going to escape out of that piece by clicking to get rid of that, and we're going to save this gradient in the swatches panel. So click the gradient menu arrow to the left of the word type, right here to the left, and then there should be an add to swatches, and we've now added that swatch. And it should come up in our, yes, it's new gradient swatch 1. That's the one we want. We can open the swatches panel, and we're going to change that name to to sky. So just go ahead and click on that, open that up, and name it sky. Say OK to that, and you're good to go. Now, one of the cool things about the swatches panel is that we can change and limit how many things we are seeing in there. Sometimes your swatches panel can get a little crowded, and honestly, look at all the colors that you end up just by default, and then the ones that you might add in. And so we can limit what we're seeing. We can go to the Show Swatch Kind menu, which is going to be down here. And you can go and you can like show your pattern swatches, you can show color groups, you can show your color swatches without any of the patterns and gradients, and here you can show just the gradients. Now, with that rectangle still selected, we haven't clicked off, you can try some of the other gradients just simply by clicking and placing those in, but when you're done, you're going to go back and select sky. Now, we want to go again and show all the swatches because we've got other things that we're going to be doing, but just know that that option is available for you. Go ahead and save right now before you lose anything. And we're going to proceed on by adjusting the direction and the angle of the gradient fill. Once you've painted an object with a gradient, you can adjust the direction, you can change the starting point or the origin. You can change the beginning and end points using the gradient tool. So we're going to adjust the gradient fill by, we have this selected, and we want to click on the gradient tool. Now as soon as you do that, you see you're going to get this bar which represents the slider. You can actually sit and watch all the changes being done that we do. So the first thing, see, this matches, it's from the left to right, so we've got the same thing going on. The bar indicates the direction of the gradient. The larger circle on the left, it is a tad bit bigger, that's your starting point, and the smaller square on the right, that's your end point. Well, it's actually kind of a diamond shape, but yeah. So position the pointer over the bar in the gradient. There you go. And this is the gradient annotator, and the bar turns into the gradient slider. It looks, just like the thing in your gradient panel. You can use that to edit the gradient without opening the gradient panel. So you can do all of this without seeing that gradient panel. I'm leaving it up so you can see the changes. With the gradient tool, shift click the top of the rectangle. So shift click here. The reason we're shift clicking is because we want to go a straight line. So if we shift at the top and we drag straight down, which is going to be constrained, we have just changed the direction of our gradient. And notice in your gradient panel, it says that we have a minus 90-degree angle. So this is dynamic. It keeps up with what you're doing. Okay? Now, you can release, for when you do that, release the mouse button and then release the key. So you always want to release the mouse button before the modifier. Now, you can hold down the shift. We can actually take this and we can rotate, and we can go to like a 90-degree. Now I did a minus 135, so let's go the other direction, and we've got our 90-degree. You can shift click below the bottom and drag up to past the top. So, I mean, all these things we can do. We can actually, we can go and we can do even part way through, whichever direction you want to do. You can position the pointer just off the small white square at the top, and oh hi, how about this? We can actually get a rotation going in here, and if you hold your shift key down, it's going to constrain that to the 45-degree angles. After you're kind of done playing with all of this, what we really want to end up with, have a gradient that starts from down here someplace and drags up kind of in this direction.